हरि ओम। ओ ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरं। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So Bhagwan revealed the twofold path the pravrutti marga and the nivrutti marga, the path of karma and the path of jnana or jnana nishtha, which is the very essence of the teaching of the Vedas. Bhagwan revealed his teaching to Arjuna in the second and the third chapter, and thereafter in the fourth chapter Bhagwan briefly conveys the parampara of this knowledge. Bhagwan said that this knowledge, great knowledge, I myself have revealed it to Hiranyagarbha in the beginning, that is to the Lord's Son, and he gave it to Manu, he gave it to Ikshvaku. In this way, through Guru Shishya Parampara, this great wisdom is passed on from one generation to another generation. But due to long passage of time, it got corrupted. A lot of misunderstanding came, and Bhagwan says the same truth, same wisdom which I had revealed in the beginning of this creation, I am revealing it to you again, hey Arjuna. So Arjuna got this doubt that how come you had revealed this in the beginning, because you were born recently and the Lord's Son was born in the beginning of creation. So how I should understand that it is you who revealed this knowledge? So Bhagwan replies, Bhagwan says that you have taken many births and I have also taken many births. I remember them all, I know them all, but you don't know. Bhagwan says, though I am unborn by nature, though I am immutable by nature, and though I am the Lord of the entire creation, taking my own prakriti in my control, through my own power called Maya, I manifest myself. So that is Bhagwan's avatar. See, when a jiva is born, when we take birth as a jiva, then we are forced to take that birth, because we are forced by our own karma, our own vasanas. So depending on the type of karma, we get different types of physical bodies. Right from a tiny little creature to the devatas also, we get different bodies and we live in different worlds to experience the joys and sorrows as a result of our karma. So our birth is dependent on our karma. We are not free to take birth as we want. But Ishvara, controlling his own Shakti, he manifests himself in different forms. So Ishvara's birth is under his control, and that is called avatar. Avatar means coming down, limiting himself. So with the help of his own power, Bhagwan limits himself, restrains himself into a particular form to carry out his work. And as I said yesterday, Bhagwan's avatars are mentioned in our scriptures, in the Vedas, in the Puranas, in Ramayana, in Mahabharata. Description of Bhagwan's various avatars are there. And these avatars alone happen. We should not use this term avatar for any person of this world, because they are only meant for Bhagwan's avatar. So the question comes that when does Bhagwan take avatar? Does he take avatar regularly or during some specific period Bhagwan takes avatar? What prompts Bhagwan to take avatar? So that Bhagwan himself reveals now in the following verses. We'll chant verse number 7, chapter 4. Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. Bhagwan says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata. Bhagwan says, whenever, in whatever period, in whatever time, whenever there is a glani in dharma, धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत, हे भारत, हे अर्जुन, whenever the dharma becomes weak, glani means weakness, just like a healthy person also, because of some conditions, some viral infection, some other problem, loses his health, means becomes weak, starts expressing that weakness, also faints or become unconscious. Similarly, this dharma, what dharma? This twofold dharma which Bhagwan has revealed, the pravrutti and the nivrutti marga, the path of action and the path of renunciation or meditation. Path of action, through this action, appropriate action, we can not only fulfill all our desires, but we can purify our mind and attain the final state of realization. But most of the people in the world, they want to fulfill their desires. They want immediate fulfillment of their desires. So Bhagwan says that if you want this immediate fulfillment of your desires, then you follow the right path. Follow all the rules and regulations. Follow the path of dharma to acquire things of this world and other world. So Bhagwan's path which is shown in the Vedas, the dharmic path, is shown in such a way that when we follow it, we not only gain what we want, but we also maintain the well-being of other beings of this world. And that is very important. We should have a holistic, proper way of action so that our action doesn't harm other beings. It should not harm any beings. I want to gain something, I want to have some pleasure. Okay, fine, Bhagwan says, you follow this path, but you should, in that bargain, you should not harm other beings, you should not harm nature, you should not harm the devatas, you should not harm the ancestors, you should not harm the Rishi Munis. If you fulfill all this condition and then you pursue and gain your desired result, that is fine, that is called dharma. But how do we know what actions will be beneficial? How do we know that what action will not harm nature? Bhagwan says, follow what the scriptures are saying. The scriptures guide every being in those actions so that it doesn't harm nature. It is a sustainable, even if we want to develop, it should be sustainable development. It should take into account the welfare of all beings. In our scripture, even when one follows the path of, let us say, a doctor is there, Vaidya is there, who gives medicine according to the disease of the person. The Ayurvedic medicine is given, let us say, some herbs and some medicinal leaves and all are given. So even when this Vaidya wants to give some medicine, he will approach that particular plant and with a folded hand request the plant that, oh dear plant, I want to take your leaves for this person who is not well, and I want to take your leaves and give it as a medicine to that person. So please bring all your medicinal power into that leaf. And with folded hands, he plucks, after that, he plucks the leaves and then he prepares the medicine and gives. So, even when we want something from nature, from plants, from birds, from animals, from air, water, we should treat them well and take what is useful for us, for sustenance. See this world outside. Outside world means what we can see with our senses, because there is inner world also. So this outer world is made up of these 5 elements, the 5 subtler elements, what we call the tanmatras, which are experienced as Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha also, and they themselves become the 5 gross elements. So the world is made up of these 5 gross elements. The same world goes to make my body also. So if I ill-treat, see, Akash is all pervading, you can't do anything to Akash. But the 4 remaining elements are there, Vayu, Agni, Jal and Prithvi. If we take care of these 4 elements properly, then it in turn takes care of our body also. If we take care of air, our body is made up of space, our body is made up of air. So in our interaction with the world, we should interact in such a way that we don't pollute the air. Our lot of this yajnas and yagas which are mentioned in our Vedas, they not only purify our mind, they also nourish the devatas, but simultaneously they also purify the environment. They purify the surrounding. So we should see that with our action we don't pollute the air. We should see that with our action we don't pollute fire, the energy. The fire which is there in the Lord's Sun, the same fire is there in the plants and all as the fuel. The same fire enters us also as the heat and energy in us. So this fire tattva also should be handled with respect, with reverence. It should not be harmed. Then we have the water tattva. Most of our great percentage of our physical body is made up of water. So our scripture says when interacting with water, you have tremendous respect for water. See, all our rituals, most of our rituals are involved in that water is involved. We invoke all the holy rivers in water, Gange, Yamune, Cheva, Godavari, Saraswati and all. And we do Abhishek and all this ritual in water. So, the dharma include taking care of our waters of this world. Respect the rivers. There are rules and regulations of how we should treat the rivers. We should never put our what we excrete into the river. Nowadays, in these modern times, all our sewage, it goes into the river. What our dirt, not only human dirt, but dirt from our factories and all these big industries and all of them go into the river or go into the ocean directly. That is totally wrong. So water has to be treated. That is called puja, worshipping. Worship doesn't mean many times people actually, in the name of worship, they will pour all pollutants into the water. No, worship means treating the water bodies with tremendous respect. So always we have on all the Tirtha Kshetras, always there will be some water body, a nadi, or a lake, or the ocean, or the confluence of rivers, which are the main part of that Tirtha Kshetra, where we go, do namaskar to that river, and take a holy dip in that river. It not only purifies my body, but purifies my antakarana also. So the water has to be treated well. And the earth, the bhumi, it is the earth which gives us food, clothing and shelter. It is the earth which gives us, in all these beings, they are born on earth, they live on earth, and again they merge back into earth. We should take care of this. We should serve this earth. Treat earth with great reverence and care. All our rituals are meant, related to the earth, to see that the earth is taken care of. Even when we till the soil, or we put grow trees and all, there are rules and regulations which we have to follow properly. Every household should have some 4 or 5 types of trees growing in their backyard, should have some type of herbs in there. All house should have a tulsi plant, which not only we worship it as the Devi, but the leaves are very beneficial, they are very medicinal. Even a dying person, no medicine works, a tulsi plant, a tulsi leaf, the juice of this tulsi leaf can again revive that person. So in this way, the Pancha Mahabhut should be taken care of. All this Pashu, Pakshis and all. Sometimes it hurts actually when we hear about the way people treat animals, birds in the modern times. Just recently I heard that a pregnant elephant was given some fruit mixed with some poisonous thing and she died. So such things human beings, when they do, it hurts. And when one human being does, all of us, directly or indirectly, are responsible for it. We are also human beings. We are all one humanity. So even one member of this humanity does something wrong, all of us get some share of that papa. If all of us suffer in some way or other. So that is the great tragedy of this modern, so-called modern times. According to the worldly logic, they say that we are progressing. But according to the scriptures, we are not progressing, we are going down. The scripture says that once in the past we were in Satya Yuga, then we fell down to Treta Yuga, then we fell down to Dwapar Yuga, and now we have fallen down to Kali Yuga, and it will become more and more ghora as the days go by. So that is the glani. Then each and every household, each and every person should do their daily duties properly, should do their occasional duties also, so nitya, naimittika, and they should do their duties according to their varna and ashrama, to maintain the balance of the society. That each one according to their varna, ashrama and gender and age, when one does the appropriate karma, then the balance of the society is maintained. But if people stop doing this, if they start neglecting, then the dharma becomes weak. See, dharma is never lost. Dharma is never destroyed. But dharma becomes weak. Dharma becomes, loses all its strength and power and vigor and enthusiasm. It becomes unconscious at times. So it has to be revived. Again and again it has to be revived, and the health has to be maintained. The health is natural, but ill health is acquired. See, when a person is healthy, we don't ask that person, hey, why are you healthy? But if the person is sick, we ask that person, what happened? Why are you sick? Because sickness is agantuk, means it comes. It is acquired. It is not something natural. But health is natural. Similarly, dharma is natural. Adharma, it comes. Paradharma, it comes. It is acquired. It is gained from outside. So Bhagavan says that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. That, O Bhagavan, O Arjuna, that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati, that whenever there is glani, weakness in dharma, this pravrutti nivrutti dharma, this varnashrama dharma, this dharma which I have revealed in the Vedas, and the dharma which is revealed in all the Puranas and this Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says when it becomes weak, glanir bhavati bharata. And why that weakness come in dharma? Because adharma increases, adharma rises, all kukarma rises, all bad activities rises. Therefore, the dharma becomes weak. Bhagavan says, abhyutthanam adharmasya, when the adharmasya abhyutthanam, when adharma increases means adharmic people increase. Means people start following adharmic things. See, this dharma and adharma are not something which exists outside. It exists in each and every one of us. It is our nature only. Just like, as I said, health is natural. Similarly, dharma is also natural. So all those who are following adharma, all those who are doing something wrong, bad, that is not natural. It has come, it is acquired because of some causes outside or within, it gets acquired. So when that thing is removed, again the person becomes healthy. When a person becomes sick, we have to remove the causes of sickness. And once the causes of sickness are removed, the person becomes fine. Just like we talk about cleaning the river, let us say. How can we clean river? Rivers are clean by nature. We have to stop polluting the river, stop putting all sorts of dirt in the river. When we do that, automatically after a few days or months, we will find the river clean. Nowadays, during this lockdown period, all over the world, it is seen nature is getting healthy, nature is getting cured, nature is regaining her health. Things are getting much better in the natural way, in the nature. Except human beings who are suffering, nature by itself is rejoicing, is becoming more and more clean and better. Maybe this was nature's, Bhagwan's wish to bring back that health of nature. Bhagwan takes avatar in different forms. So we don't know in what way Bhagwan does his work. So yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Hey Bharata, hey Arjuna, whenever there is weakness in dharma, whenever the dharma goes down, Means those who follow dharma, they become weak, they don't follow the path of dharma, they become lazy, they start doing paradharma or they start doing adharma. They lose faith in their own dharma, they lose faith in the scriptures, they lose faith in the teacher, they lose faith in the great goal which is shown, they lose faith in the sadhana which is mentioned. All these are weakness of dharma only. See, when a person is not well, we go to the doctor does the diagnosis. First physical diagnosis he will do. Nowadays actually they want us to go through various tests and all. So they will do the blood test, the urine test, another test and all. And thereafter he will say that, oh, you have this problem, these things are not in their natural state, there is an imbalance, so you better take this medicine, do this exercise, do this thing, and then you will regain your health. Similarly, the diagnosis when we do of this world, diagnosis of the human beings when we do, and when we find that they are not following dharma, they are losing faith in the right path, they are losing faith in the teachers and the scriptures, they are losing faith in the devatas, they are losing faith in Ishvara, they are losing faith in goodness, they start expressing all false values in their life. The falsehood is considered as great. Himsa, violence, is considered as great. Telling lies is considered as part of life. Acquiring lot of things and accumulating and indulging in different types of pleasures is considered, chalta hai. If you have money, you can indulge. You can buy things and indulge. What does it matter? So all these are lakshanas of ill health of dharma. Dharma has become weak. Dharma ki glani ho gayi hai. And adharma has increased. So abhyutthanam adharmasya, when the adharma increases, tada atmanam shrujami aham. When such a thing happens, when things go out of control, when Bhagwan knows that it cannot be put right by itself, Bhagwan then takes avatar. Bhagwan says, tada atmanam shrujami aham. See, if you study and read and listen to these kathas from even some Puranas and all, stories of Bhagwan's avatar and the various situations why Bhagwan had to take avatar. We have Bhagwan's avatar as Matsya, as a fish, Kurma, as a tortoise, Matsya Kurma Varaha as a boar, Matsya Kurma Varaha Narsinha, Vamana, Parshuram, Ram, then Krishna, Buddha, Kalki. All these avatars are mentioned in the scriptures. Apart from this Dasha avatar, lot of other avatars are mentioned. So whenever there is some trouble, some difficulty, Bhagwan manifests himself. In Purana, the story of Bhakta Prahlad is there. And his father Hiranyakashipu had created such a horrible situation in the whole world. He was the great ruler. And he used to rule his kingdom according to his own fancy, not according to dharma. He believed only in khao pure, mauj karo. In this life itself, there is no God. I am God. The ruler is God. And whatever rule I make, that is dharma. Nobody should talk about any unknown and any imaginary gods. So his own son, Prahlad, when he was in his mother's womb, he had satsang. His mother had satsang with Naradji, and that samskar of divinity had come in this child also. So when he was born, he had that samskar from his past life. I mean, from his womb, when he was in mother's womb. So he had this faith in God. So he told his father that God is there, who is taking care of this world. He is present everywhere. He is there not only in the living beings, but he is present in the inert objects of this world also. He is present in this whole world. So father asked, is he present in this pillar? He said, yes. God is present even in the pillar. So the father kicked that pillar, and Bhagwan manifested from that pillar as Narsimha, and he killed that Hiranyakashipu, and along with his death, Bhagwan also killed that wrong philosophy which he was spreading all over, and Prahlad became the king, and he re-established dharma and ruled the kingdom according to the laws of dharma. So Bhagwan says, whenever dharma becomes weak and whenever adharma grows, I manifest myself. Tadatmanam shrujami aham. So why does Bhagwan manifest himself? What does Bhagwan do when he takes avatar? That is said now in the next verse. Bhagwan says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Bhagwan says, Paritranaya sadhunam. I manifest myself to protect the good. Sadhu means good person. And who is a good person? A good person is one who follows the path of dharma, who follows the path of righteousness, who has values, who follows the what you call value-based life. Values like ahimsa, satyam, asteya, brahmacharya, parigraha, shaucha, santosh, tapas, swadhyaya, ishwar, pranidhan. All these yama niyam, these values which are mentioned in the scriptures, they are there in his life, and he does his duties, worldly duties, as well as the dharmic duties, very sincerely dedicating them to Ishvara. And even if he has got some kamana, some desires in his heart, then he fulfills them following the proper rule and proper laws, proper path shown in the dharmic grantha. So doesn't harm other creatures in the name of acquiring things for his own self. So they are the sadhus, good people, following the right path. But when adharma increases, when lot of negative people are there all over, then a person, even a good person, finds it difficult to follow this right path. Not only there are obstacles, but there are direct harm also comes to such good people. This negative, adharmic people, they hurt these dharmic people, sometimes express their violence against them, even sometimes kill them. So we have description in the Ramayana how Ravan, and not only Ravan, but all those who consider Ravan as their king, and all those who considered Ravan as their role model, all those people is to follow the path of adharma only. And their one of their favorite pastime was to disturb and create obstacles in the path of good people. If some people are doing yajna, worshipping Ishvara, worshipping God, they will come and create obstacle. They will prevent them from doing such holy things. These are not considered by the adharmic people as worthwhile, doing something good. See, even in the modern times, if one doesn't do any duty, worldly duty, then immediately you are recognized and you are admonished. But if somebody doesn't do his spiritual duties, nobody bothers to say anything. If a person doesn't do puja regularly, the government will not punish that person. The society will not say anything. In fact, sometimes they say, oh, he is a modern person. He doesn't believe in all this type of superstitions and all. He is a modern, educated person. So, these are all signs of adharma only. So, paritranaya sadhunam. Bhagavan says, I manifest myself to protect the good. Bhagavan came as Narsimha, he protected Prahlad. So in Treta Yuga, Bhagavan took avatar as Ram and he protected all the good people during that time. As Krishna, Bhagavan took avatar, he protected the good. So paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam. See, another important thing Bhagavan does is vinashaya cha dushkrutam. Dushkrutam means those who do bad things. Those who are following the path of adharma, those who do nishiddha karma, prohibitory actions. Bhagavan says, I destroy them. See, when a person is sick, let us say somebody becomes sick, then he is taken to the hospital. Then what is the aim and goal of the hospital and the doctors and all? They try to destroy his sickness. They don't try to destroy that person. They try to destroy the sickness of that person. But similarly, a bad person is there, one should try to destroy the badness. Then the person is good. As I said, everyone is good. Goodness is our nature. Badness has come because of some cause. So when we have some bad things in us or we see something negative in the world, we should try to destroy that bad thing. We should try to destroy the negativities from this world. But when it goes out of control, when we cannot destroy the negativities from a person, when the person has reached such a limit that negativity is cannot be destroyed, then what happens? Then Bhagavan says, I come to destroy that person, because that is the last option. Then we can't help it. If his negativities cannot be destroyed, then I destroy that person. That is Bhagavan's job. Bhagavan says, Vinashaya cha dushkrutam. I destroy the sinners. If that sinner doesn't put forth effort to destroy his sins, if the society doesn't put forth effort together to destroy, to eliminate sins from this world, then Bhagavan says, I come to destroy the sinners. So this is terrible. See, as Krishna also, Bhagavan came as Krishna, he destroyed all those who were directly and indirectly involved in adharma. This great Mahabharata war took place, in which lakhs and lakhs of people were killed. But thereafter, Bhagavan was not satisfied with that. Thereafter, his own family, the Yadu Vamsha, lots and lots of these Yadu Vamshas were there. So Bhagavan through his own Leela, he created such a situation. They fought among themselves and they were killed. Bhagwan's avatar, Bhagwan doesn't spare than anyone. Many times people say, oh, Bhagwan, why doesn't he come? Lot of things have gone wrong. Why doesn't he come now? Bhagwan should come and destroy all these adharmic people. But we never know. Bhagwan, if he comes, how will we be spared? We generally think we are dharmic and Bhagwan should come and destroy others and leave me and my family alone. So that doesn't work. Bhagwan says, I come to protect the good, to destroy the evil, and to re-establish dharma. Dharma sansthapanarthaya. Bhagwan re-established dharma, which had become weak, which is lose its force and power. Bhagwan again makes it healthy and re-establishes it. During this Mahabharata, all people got killed. Bhagwan made Yudhishthir the king, a dharmic person. Yudhishthir became the king. Thereafter, Parikshit became the king. As Ramchandraji, he killed that Ravan and made Vibhishan the king. He killed that Vali and made Sugriv the king. In Ayodhya, he himself became the king. So, Bhagwan established dharma by following this path himself when he takes avatar and by teaching this path to appropriate people so that it gets conveyed to everyone. So here Bhagwan taught this great wisdom of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and through Arjuna Bhagwan taught this to all of us. So Bhagwan establishes this dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Bhagwan says, I come in every yuga. In every yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, Bhagwan comes in different forms. Bhagwan comes and re-establish the dharma. See, as I said, this world moves in a cyclic way. There is just like in a day we have the sunrise, we have the sunset, the movement of the sun we see from earth. And then also during the year we see the movement of the seasons. The seasons also changes. So when we similarly the changes happen in the long period of time in the dharma also. So in Satya Yuga the dharma is 100%. Then Treta Yuga it falls down to 75%. In the Dwapar Yuga falls down to 50%. Kali Yuga it comes down to 25% and it keeps on moving, going down. So Bhagwan says whenever there is a disturbance in dharma and when adharma grows, I manifest myself to set things right, to create balance. So this is the reason why Bhagwan takes avatar. So we should also in our life help serve Bhagwan by protecting the goodness which is there within us. Paritranaya sadhunam. We have within us also our own antakkarana. Our own antakkarana is like our own shishya. Each one of us, we have our own follower within. Our own antakkarana is our follower, is like our son, is like our shishya. So we should raise this shishya, educate the shishya properly we should educate our mind properly and lead our mind on the right path. In Maharashtra, the great saint Samartha Ramdas Swamiji, he wrote what you call stotra called Manache Shloka, and in this he has written some more than 200 couplets advising his own mind. O mind, you follow the path of dharma. O mind, give up all this negative thing. O mind, do this positive thing. Mana sajjana bhakti panthe chidave tari shri hari pavijeto svabhave. Jani nindyate sarva sodo nidya vidyave jari vandyate sarva bhave karave. So he advises his own mind to do what is right, give up what is wrong. So we should also do Bhagwan's karya in our own life as far as we are concerned. So protect the good. Paritranaya sadhunam means protect all that is good in yourself, because they need protection. They need support. See, when we talk about ahimsa, satyam, asteya, brahmacharya, these values which are there, they need support. We have faith for God. That faith should be protected. It should be protected from all dussanga. It should be protected from all negative influences. It should be strengthened. It should be nourished. We follow the path of dharma, we do some sadhana, we do some puja, we do some japa. All these activities should be protected. And if we notice anything wrong, anything bad, anything negative, then we should destroy these things. We should destroy the adharma. We should destroy kama, krodha, lobha, which we can notice within us. And then we should set our dharma properly, re-establish dharma, re-establish the path of goodness in our life. Dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge, re-establish dharma. So this great work Bhagwan does, and Father Bhagwan says that my janma and my karma is also very divine. So let us chant the next verse. Bhagwan says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punar janma neti mameti sorjuna. Bhagwan says, my janma and my karma is divine, divyam. Evam yo vetti tattvataha, and one who knows this in essence, one who knows the secret of my janma, the mystery of my janma, and the mystery of my karma, one who knows, that person also, by this knowledge, that person also will become free. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Hey Arjuna, having dropped this body, that person is not born again. That person will attain moksha. One who knows the secret of Bhagwan's janma and Bhagwan's karma will come to know his own self, will gain the knowledge of his own identity. Knowing Ishvara, we know ourselves. When we know ourselves, we know Ishvara. And when we know Ishvara, we know ourselves. And how to know Ishvara? If we know the secret of his janma and we know the secret of his karma, we will be able to know. What is the secret of Bhagwan janma? That with his own power called Maya, without actually taking birth, Bhagwan appears to take birth. And though appearing to be acting, Bhagwan by nature is beyond all action. So that Atma, Ishvara, though appearing to be born, is unborn. though appearing to be working, is not doing anything. Atma is beyond all karma. There is no kartutva, bhoktrutva, netritva in that Atma. So when we understand the secret of Bhagwan's Janma and Karma, we will also become free. More about this shloka is very beautiful and a deep and important shloka. We will see the meaning tomorrow. So till then you take care of yourself, remain safe, healthy, happy, do your work, do your upasana, and we will meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Bole Siyava Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.